So sad and also wonderful to be with you today and to see your faces as we remember Adam. There's a plaque here if you want to take a look at it a little bit later, but we'll stand in kind of a formal remembrance space for about 15-ish, 20 minutes, and then we'll close the formal space, and you're welcome to stay and linger and share stories and climb the wall even if you'd like to after that, but we'll go ahead and start now. So welcome everyone to the dedication ceremony for this quirky, earnest, and well-loved rock wall as it becomes even more beloved when it adopts the name Adam Dohn Climbing Wall. I welcome you into this circle with all that you are feeling, all that you are carrying, and name that in this particular moment you are probably carrying multiple things at once, holding emotions that have had tension in your heart for months now. So I welcome your sadness and your gratitude, your hope and your despair, your heartbreak and your fond memories, your love and loss, all in this space. We'll stand in this circle for a short while, hear blessings from both multi-faith chaplains who knew Adam well, hear remembrances from his friends, and we'll share in a dedication ritual all together. So just feel really warmly welcome here, and let's take a deep breath in this moment to be present. Breathe in. I'll open us with a blessing. Sacred One, we use this space of invocation not only to invoke your loving spirit among us, but also to invoke Adam's presence in this place. We know that loss does not mean lost, and those we love never truly leave us. And we call forth now his sly smile, his good humor, his big and loyal heart, as we stand in a place where he so often stood, and bless and dedicate a wall he so often climbed. In this moment, this is a sacred place, where the veil between the living and the dead is thin, and we feel in our bones that more than memory is connecting us to Adam today. In these moments together, may we be reminded of what is good and true in the world, even though the challenges of the world can seem too difficult to bear. And even in our heartache, may we find gratitude for the moments we spent with Adam that were so full of presence and joy. Bless us in our remembrance as we bless this space with new meaning and new purpose. May it be so. Now I'll welcome up Andrew and Nick, some of Adam's dear friends, to share some remembrance.
Hi everyone. First off, I just want to thank everyone who's here. It makes me really glad to see that so many people are here to remember Adam today. I'd like to just share two quick stories that came to mind when I was thinking about what Adam meant to me and what I admired about him most over the years that I was lucky enough to be his friend. Senior year, Adam, Zach, and myself made the decision to start eating lunches early during the day and then dinners right at 4:30 when Commons opened in order to beat the rush of students that I'm sure you're all so familiar with. And because we were each coming from different dorms, we used a group chat to coordinate where the first person to arrive had chosen to sit. A lot of the time, especially early on, we sat at a circular table right by the big windows near the bike rack outside of Commons. And one of the first times that we sat there, we happened to notice there were a bunch of spiders hanging out on the windows on the outside of the building. From that point on, Adam started referring to that table as Spiders, which we very quickly sort of adopted as our code name for our preferred table to sit at when we went to dinner together. And when we arrived for meals from then on, our group chat was filled with nonsensical messages referring to table locations such as Spiders, or Spiders 2.0, Spider Adjacent, and approximately Spiders, when our usual spot was taken. Over time, the trend expanded beyond table selection as well. Adam regularly referred to Commons as commoner in his messages, and lunch often became launch instead. On the rare occasions when we chose not to eat at Commons, Kim's kitchen was referred to as the Kimnasium instead of its conventional. I think that's my favorite one of the bunch. All of this probably would have been very confusing to an uninformed reader, but it became quite an enjoyable routine for Zach, Adam, and myself. Part of why I enjoyed this dynamic so much is because I think it is reflective of the fact that Adam often picked relatively mundane moments as the stage for his personality to shine through. Picking a table for dinner isn't the most exciting task in the world, but for Adam it was still an opportunity to sprinkle in a bit of humor and make things more enjoyable for the three of us, which I think is quite admirable in its own right. An additional layer to Adam that I greatly admired was the patience he possessed when sharing his expertise with others, which went very well hand in hand with his ability to encourage others to challenge themselves to step outside their comfort zones. Given the location of this ceremony today, an example that came to mind was when Adam offered to give me some climbing lessons at the wall during our sophomore year. What stands out to me most about that day is my memory of being impressed with how Adam mixed his instructions and explanations with letting me try things out. He made sure that everything was done safely and correctly, but he also genuinely wanted me to be able to do things for myself so that I could make mistakes and learn from them. This became apparent especially when Adam was teaching me how to put on a harness and attach the different ropes so that I could learn to belay a climber. During this process, I made the same mistakes multiple times, but Adam never got frustrated with me. He just suggested things I could do differently and let me try again. Because of that, it became clear to me what a great teacher Adam really was. Simply setting up the harness for me would not have been sharing his knowledge to the full extent. Instead, he gave me a chance to experience his love of climbing for myself. In many ways, the process was more important than the destination to Adam that day at the wall. If he had skipped steps or given me a shortcut in his lessons, he wouldn't have been sharing with me all of what he loved so much about climbing, such as the fact that it gave him a space to challenge himself and grow not only as a climber, but as a person too. Adam was a special person in far more ways than I can cover here this afternoon. He was a bright, driven individual and a wonderful friend. Especially amidst the hectic hustle and bustle of life in 2022, I think we can all learn something from Adam's ability to enjoy the journey for what it was, especially when that journey was shared with friends. Thank you.
I think I felt that I couldn't handle fully experiencing and confronting the sadness of Adam's passing. In a way, it's easier to try to ignore these things and how they make us feel, but some emotions need to be felt. They require more respect than to just be ignored, and our memory of Adam deserves to be recognized in its entirety. The person that he was to me and all that he knew demands to be remembered with all the happiness and sadness that comes with it. Because if we choose to distance ourselves from the memory of a person because of grief, we risk disconnecting ourselves from them completely. And we should never disconnect ourselves from who Adam was and continues to be in our hearts. Because of this, I think it's important to recount these memories and earnestly feel the sorrow that inevitably comes with them. Because the pain that we feel in doing so is simply a measure of how much we miss and love Adam. Adam made every effort to make his friends feel loved and wanted. Senior year wasn't the easiest for me, and I had a way of leaning on work to avoid facing the things I was going through. In the end, it kept me from those that I should have been connecting with the whole time: Andrew, Nick, and Adam. But somehow Adam, along with Andrew, found a way to bust through that wall. More specifically, bust through a door, literally. It must have been late November. I was at the busiest stage of working on a show. I wasn't showing up to meals, I was skipping hangouts, and basically isolating myself. But late one night, as I was leading a rehearsal with the entire production team, I heard a door open below and then a sudden hush of voices. It seemed like the people that were down there were lost or had gone to the wrong room. Then I hear my lighting director shouting into the abyss, "Get out! You shouldn't be in here!" in a voice that comes off a little harsh to most, but absolutely terrifying to those who knew him. Then to go from terrifying to horrifying, he follows with, "Zach, tell your friends not to interrupt rehearsal." At this point, I had to figure out what was going on, so I excused myself and climbed down the ladder. and ran out to the hallway only to find Adam and Andrew. A little bit embarrassed, but still happy to see me. Adam claimed that they needed to find me because they weren't sure I was even alive since it had been days since I texted or seen anyone. And sure enough, I checked my phone and there was message after message, which I had been ignoring for no good reason. He pulled me from the edge. What was a time of isolation became a time where I was reminded I had others I could rely on. Adam had an excellent way of reminding us of our value. Even on our last call with all four of us in September, our value to Adam was always clear. I remember that I double scheduled our group call with drinks with friends from grad school. I stepped out for maybe 20 minutes, enjoying our conversation with friends, but at the same time realizing I was being a bit rude to the people that I was out with already. I said it was finally time for me to go, and instead of guilting me or complaining, Adam simply said, "It's okay. Any time spent with friends is appreciated." I hung up from that call, feeling certain that we would have time together again soon. I was certain we'd all continue to FaceTime, play games, and hopefully plan a trip to see each other. But the pandemic put us all into isolation one way or another. Communication became harder, and a trip out to each other's homes in new cities was impossible. I think we all settled into a rhythm of complacency, patiently waiting for it all to be over, thinking that there was certainly no way for us all to feel together like we had been in school. I'd like to think that if things were like they are now in 2022, Adam would have found a way. He left us with an important lesson. You have to cherish your friends and family as much as you possibly can in the present moment. It's a lesson Andrew, Nick, and I have worked hard to follow. I still can't believe he's gone from our lives. But please know that Adam was loved, and he was a great friend who I'll miss dearly.
I'm gonna do my best here, but we'll see. I guess I'll say thank you again to everyone for being here. I remember when I first met Adam on move-in day during our first year. I walked into this room in Page, and this happy kid with long blonde hair, a crate full of records, and a whole bunch of climbing equipment that I was completely unfamiliar with came in shortly after. Adam was really excited to share his life with me, his interests, his hobbies, and especially climbing. He would show me YouTube videos of people I had never heard of, but apparently are very famous, like Alex Honnold, Adam Ondra, and Chris Sharma. And as eager as he was to share the world with me, he was just as eager to learn about my life as well. If I mentioned a paper I was working on or some issue I was having, Adam would be sure to ask me about it the next time he saw me. I would be like, yeah, this con law paper due Friday, and then he would see me in the library, like watching YouTube videos and not doing my con law paper. Come on, man. You gotta focus. When I got my first concussion during my first year, I couldn't really leave our room. I usually needed to have the lights off, and often needed to go to bed by 9 p.m. Not only was Adam understanding about this, but he would also walk with me to and from Commons every day to make sure I didn't fall and hit my head, which was not entirely necessary, but for him it was, and for me, it did a lot. I would tell him he didn't have to do that. He said, "Nah, you're from Maryland. They don't have snow and ice down there." Which they do. But for him, it was an excuse to make sure I was okay. And as hard as that time was for me, it just made it that much easier. And I can't really begin to go through everything that Adam made sure to be there for, as I'm sure anyone who knew him could say. He was always in the front row of any show, concert, sporting event that you told him about, and he was the first person to congratulate you afterwards. There are a few memories that I kind of wanted to mention. I remember one night Wilkie was helping organize a waffle night during finals week, and Adam came and found me in the library and said, "Come on, we have to go to Wilkie's waffle night. Wilkie told us about it, so we gotta go be there. It's gonna be awesome." He dragged me out of there, and it was great. But for Adam, you mentioned it to him and he was there. It was everything you said he knew mattered to you. During the fall of our senior year, I gave a speech at the multi-faith banquet, and since I told Adam about it, you could bet that he was right there, sitting at a table with a group of my friends, ready to give me a hug right after the event was over. Later that night, he even found the perfect words to text me when the event was all finished, words which I remember bringing me so much comfort and happiness in that moment. And at least once a year, I would make my friends watch the infamously awful Tommy Wiseau film, The Room. And Adam was admittedly probably the only one of my friends who was actually excited to watch the movie every single time, as awful as it was. When we had to leave Bates prematurely in March of 2020, as you heard about, Adam, Zach, Andrew, and myself would schedule nights to talk, FaceTime, or play video games together. And as hard as this was, as Zach was saying, to balance all our schedules, whenever we were able to, it felt like we were still all together in one of our rooms, coming up with random words and acronyms for things that didn't need them. And I think Adam summed up what this meant and what all the time with Adam meant to me when he said, hey, he texted us one night and he said, hey, the time I get to spend with y'all is precious, no matter how much each of us can spare. And I think this quote is a pretty incredible way to summarize what it was like to have Adam in your life. Whether you were driving in the car together for hours or just having a quick 5-minute conversation passing each other in comments, these times really were precious, and he really did make your day better. He was dedicated, kind, warm, grateful, and above all else, his capacity for love genuinely knew no bounds. He was there for you both when you asked him to be and when you didn't know you needed him. For a meal, an event, a late night freestyling, singing, video game session, or the hard times, the good times, and everywhere in between. He was always there with joy, love, and understanding. Thank you.
I hope you'll have a chance to linger and tell stories amongst yourselves too after we close with this ritual. In Celtic spirituality, there's a tradition for wedding ceremonies called the warming of the rings, where the wedding rings are passed around everyone gathered and each person bestows a blessing or hope upon the couple. And when the rings come back to them, they are physically and spiritually warmed as a tangible sign of the love and support in that room. We will adapt this practice today as we dedicate this rock climbing wall. In a moment, I will pass this handhold around our circle. And I ask that you just take a brief moment and bestow a memory, a blessing, something you cherished about Adam, something you hope for the people who climb this wall in the future, just in a breath in a second, and pass it to the person next to you. We'll make it all the way around the circle and conclude the warming of this handhold with Adam's family who are here today, and we'll dedicate the wall. me in these words of dedication on this wall. With this communally warmed and blessed handhold, we now dedicate this climbing wall a place of friendship, recreation, challenge, joy, ambition to Adam Dohn, who is dear to so many at Bates College and beyond. May he be remembered here. May his spirit continue to breathe life into this place and to the students who climb with courage and compassion. And may we all find sacred connection each time we return to the Adam Dohn climbing wall. Raymond will lead us in a benediction.
This is a benediction that is based on the final words of puja, the daily prayers of Hindus that are often shared before big climbs. May you be present to the touch and reach of your body. May you be mindful of your every word. May you find foothold in the constant stream of thoughts. May you be open to the buzzing conversation of the senses. May your mind be keen. May your feelings find welcome. And may you cultivate ways of living that give yourself to others and honor all. May it be so.
Thank you all for being here. You're welcome to stay and linger and share stories and climb. Oh, please.
I'm Adam's mom. I'm here with his brother, Peter, and Adam's dad. Adam knew how much we loved him. We know how much we love Adam. Thank you for your friendship, your generosity.
As a parent, you work hard raising your child, and you never really know how they're going to turn out. And the sentiments you heard today, and your presence here means so much. You talked about his friendship. I don't think he realized how much he meant to all of you. Your presence here means so much. Just thank you. There are so many more here today than I ever thought possible. The last 4 years I was going through my own college. I was just 2019, just missed all this nonsense by a year. But in that time, I had drifted apart from my brother. Many of you probably knew him more than I did. But the fact that he knew. There's so many of you here today. It's really great. Don't forget what you have here. You all have just as many people who care about you. Remember that. Remember that always. Thank you all. It doesn't sound like it in my voice, but I am really happy to see you all here. It's really incredible. Thank you.